Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Menlo Midweek podcast. So glad that you're here with us. This is a special edition of the podcast, and I am here with a couple of friends of mine, some legends here at Menlo Church. The one, the only, I sometimes call him Bishop, Scott Palmbush, because he has been so integral to this place for so long, and Josh Robertson, the campus pastor at our Saratoga campus, and also, as maybe you're learning about now, stepping into that role, plus supporting our campuses more broadly. So for those of you that were around this last weekend, you heard some news that I shared that Scott and I talked about. If you weren't with us, what we talked about is that Scott is actually rolling off of our staff at Menlo. I'm going to let him speak to that in just a second. And we wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. We've got some rhythms for Scott to be able to visit campuses and connect, but it's been a long time. So Scott, maybe just kind of walk us through a little bit. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind as you experience what feels like God saying to you, it's time to take a step out of Menlo?
Yeah, thanks. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
This last round of staff for me has been 18 years. I came in the summer of 2007 and excited to help us go into a new era of multisite, which was kind of unique and an exciting journey. And so lots happened between now and then. But even before that, I started here as an attendee. I came as a college student and experienced a lot of great ministry and discerned a call to ministry here. So there was that. I was an intern here, got called into ministry, and then this last 18 years getting to serve an amazing congregation and to do some things where I got to see God at work. So I'm feeling so many mixed emotions. This place is home. This place is a place where I grew up in a lot of different ways, as a believer, as a pastor, a husband, a father, as a pastor. I just there's so much of my life that's interwoven here, and I'm grateful for so many things, and also excited for what's ahead. There's so many mixed emotions for me and for the church. I've always tried to help people follow God by becoming the kind of person that would listen and hear what God is saying, and then have the courage to go out and follow that. And for me, a call is a real important thing. And like I said, I discerned my call into professional ministry, vocational ministry through our church family here. And I always wanted to kind of hold that. I've always tried to hold that before the Lord, and say, okay, God, I'm here as long as you've called me here. And I don't say that, some people kind of use that word in different ways, but for me, it's God, where can I add the most value? Where do you want me? And where do I need to let go? This has been a big part of it. So kind of as we've talked about this a little bit, maybe you heard it on Sunday, but for me, thinking about what these next years of ministry might look like for me, and also to kind of create room for others to step into leadership. My deep belief that Menlo is headed in a great direction, all enable me to kind of hear God say, now is the time to step into some other things. So, that's a longer answer than you asked for, but
Great, man. Yeah.
just a lot going on. Yeah.
Well, and if you guys don't know this, Scott literally launched every campus at Menlo, has been the campus pastor of every campus at Menlo. He is the executive pastor of campuses, but he's also just kind of like the Derek Jeter of Menlo, where he can just he's just a utility player that we can, and do regularly, install into pretty unique challenges or projects. It's like, we're not totally sure. We've been trying to, as a team, especially centrally at Menlo, put the right people in the right places to be successful. And whenever there's been a gap of any kind, Like, you don't even almost have to ask Scott. He's like, of course I can help with that. And so that's been a gift. I mean, I've only been here 2.5 years, and I've experienced it over and over again. And I know that for you, Scott, that's been true for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, like, what was the first year that you got to Menlo as like a student?
Yeah. So I came here as a college student, and it would have been, 80, the late 80s or early 90s. I graduated in 1990. So,
It's unbelievable. What were you doing in 1990, Josh?
yeah, were you?
I was playing with my Ninja Turtle dolls.
Awesome. Amazing. Action figures.
Yeah.
No,
that's
they were
right.
dolls.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I was in college, and I grew up Presbyterian, and at that time it was kind of like, okay, where's a nearby Presbyterian church? And people, even then, Menlo had this reputation around the school and around the community. Hey, you got to go there. And I came, and in that season there was a vibrant college ministry, and I just got connected right away, and I appreciated just the clear, thoughtful way the gospel was presented, the way faith was encouraged, and the leadership just walked with me and was patient with me, and again challenged me and called things out in me. So it was. It was a fun season. Some of my best friends, to this day, I met when I was part of the college ministry here.
That's really good. And obviously, we've had a number of different staff transitions over the last couple of years at Menlo. I think some of that is normal life in ministry. Some of that's going to happen in a transition. But, for somebody that's going, oh my gosh, like we've had so much change, and now Scott, he's like the one that I was hanging on to, and now he's leaving. Like, how might you speak to that person that's hypothetically listening right now?
Yeah, I have a lot of empathy for that, because I know that when the world's changing all around you, right, the one place I want to come and have things be familiar is the church. And, I've seen a lot of change here as well. And it's always a challenge, because you have to relearn things. You have to figure out, who the people are, and how to connect with them. But I would tell people over my season here, I've had in this last 18 years, 12 different supervisors that I've worked for, 8 different offices. I've had all kinds of different roles that I've played, and I've learned things in all those places, and I've been able to glean wonderful lessons from all the folks that I've gotten to work with. And it's hard when you say goodbye. And you want to wish people well, and you say, hey, I'm excited for you. It's hard to say goodbye. But what I also want to help people remember, and this is really important, is that you don't always think about who's going to come next. And what's wonderful, for all those people I've said goodbye to, I've gotten to say hello to some amazing people, like my friend Josh, who sits across from me over here. When somebody left to make a space for him, and over again, God's faithfulness. I just have such confidence in that. And years ago, one of my supervisors, Rick Langlow, one of the legendary pastors here, just said, I don't know how to explain it, but God has his hand on Menlo, and he's just, out of his grace, so faithful to this place, and continues to bring great leaders and hope here. And you're an example of that, Phil. I care a lot about the church and where it's going, and the leadership is so crucial and important. And you're an example of people praying, me praying, and saying, okay, God, continue being faithful to this church. And so, the church is it's about the leaders, but it's also about the community that's here, and the elders, the longtime folks that have been so faithful to this congregation. People that nurtured me when I was in college are still here, still loving Jesus, still encouraging me and asking me about my family. That kind of faithfulness is here. It's not going away. And leaders are going to come and go, but Jesus is the one that holds the church together, and he is faithful to Menlo, and he's going to continue to bring freshness and joy, and all the things that he brings.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that the dynamic of the last couple of years, as we think about staff transitions, I know for you, Scott, Josh, for you too, like we've had to always sort of navigate sometimes, we'll just call them suboptimal staff transitions. If you're listening to this and you're like, wait, that happens in church too? For sure it does. And that's people that it turns out they're like not theologically aligned to core ideas of what it means to be a pastor, or something in their life is misaligned to what it means to the agreements that they've said to be in ministry, or they're just struggling in core performance of their job, or they've lost the passion to do their job. And I think one of the like really beautiful things about this conversation is that, well, all those things likely exist in lots of different ways and places in staff transitions that I know, Scott, you have had to walk with supreme integrity, grace, and kindness through. The ability that we have in this season, when none of those things are true of you, where you've just been incredibly faithful, done a tremendous job. Menlo will never be the same because of God's leadership through you. We just get to wholeheartedly, nobody's holding their nose, honor you, dude. It's a joy of ministry, really, sincerely. And so if you're listening to this, Scott's going to spend a time at every campus throughout August, just spending time with people and getting a chance to see them. He's not like moving out of the area or anything. Hopefully you'll see him again. But, I think being able to, hopefully for you, feel like this is a conversation, I don't think Scott mind me saying this, like Scott and I started this conversation on some level a year ago about where he felt like God was directing him and what sort of steps towards this would look like. And I hope you feel like, man, we've honored that process and want to make sure that you feel honored even in these last few months.
Yeah, so true, and really grateful that it's a place where I've felt like I can be me, and I can bring who I am and my strengths and my weaknesses and all of me into this. And for me, it's always been the case. I've hoped I don't want to be the person that has a bad transition. I don't want to be the person where you've stayed a little beyond your expiration date, and by that I just mean you've kind of lost the passion. You're hanging on. You're not really following the call, and I just appreciate the conversations that we've had, and I felt very called by the Lord to say, hey, I want Menlo to be in a good place. I want, Phil, I was so grateful for you to answering the call here, and I wanted to say, okay, how can we help you get settled and get off on the right foot, and you've brought so much here, and so it's now a chance for me to say, it's time. And I tend to be, a little play it safe, kind of risk averse. It's not a shocker to anybody that knows me. I know. What, Scott? And so I just thanks for the space to say, okay, to feel like I can step out. I'm grateful for God's encouragement. I'm grateful for the place where I can feel encouraged and supported, even though I know it's hard for people for me to leave, but to say, hey, this next season, God, what do you want to do in me, and how do you want me to follow you? It's a great gift, and I hope people sometimes there's stories that people want to think about, but there's no story here other than me seeking to follow where I think God wants me to be, and the kinds of things that I can do to add value, and hopefully continue to add value here in some different ways, from a different seat, a different angle. But I will always love the church here and the people here, and thanks for making this a great transition.
For sure, man. Well, and I think, unfortunately, there's lots of times in church world where when someone leaves staff, they sign what's called an NDA, or non-disclosure agreement, and churches in the country have sort of gotten in a little bit of trouble for those. And at Menlo, we don't use those. So if you're like, I want the whole story, well, buy Scott some coffee and ask him. He can say whatever he wants. And I think you're going to hear many of the things that you just heard, but he likes free coffee, so take advantage of that.
I love that.
And I hope that you've noticed that even as we've tried to navigate transitions where it was time or necessary, or someone felt like it was God's call for them to move forward, that, even the way that relationship exists on the other side, like when Cheryl's been able to come back and preach, or Scott will still be around and will still be in many ways helping some of our key staff, but in a way we'll talk about a little bit later. To me, that just feels like such a clear indicator of we've handled this differently. We function in relationship. It's letting you be who God's created you to be, and letting the team navigate. But I wonder for you, Josh, like, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Josh has, you talked about how many supervisors you've had. At Menlo, you've only had one supervisor.
Mr. Palmbush.
Yeah. So for somebody that like doesn't know, and they're like, what's Scott like as a boss? Maybe give him some answers. Give him the tea.
I didn't know this question was coming.
As you were talking, a memory popped in my mind. Like you said, Scott's the Derek Jeter. One of my favorite things to do on Sunday mornings at Saratoga is often after I've heard Phil's sermon already, during the sermon, I'll go out of the sanctuary. Sorry, don't fire me. Don't be mad. And I will go and visit all the Menlo kids' classrooms just to like have a touch point with the teachers. Hey, we're thankful for you. We're praying for you. So I'm going to all the classrooms, and then I stopped by the babies and toddlers room, and I opened the door, and Scott's on the ground like throwing balls with a little baby. I was like,
Amazing.
What are you doing right now? He's just like, I got scheduled, and here I am. What is happening? But just like Scott serves everywhere, which is amazing. Yeah, Scott is a manager. I'd say Scott's my manager, but he's my friend. But the superpower of Scott Palmbush is he's just a phenomenal pastor shepherd. I think often I'll go into my one-on-ones with him, or we'll have a conversation, and my natural tendency is to get tactical. Shocker to both of you, I'm sure.
Wow.
Never would have seen
And
that
Scott
coming.
will go, how's your family? Like, how's your marriage? How's your kids? And my wife has even had those conversations where she's like, I saw Scott in the courtyard, and he just wants to know, how's our marriage? How's Josh? He's just such a phenomenal pastor shepherd, which has been great to learn and to sit under him and just see how he does that really, really well. I think the thing that Scott's also really good at is just dreaming. He just will stand back and go, okay, you're leading Saratoga right now. What if? Like, limitless resources, endless possibilities. How do we serve the community? How do we serve the school across the street? Like, let's dream bigger and let's pray about it. So I love that Scott helps me to think bigger. He helps me to think in the dream space of like, but how much money do we have in this dream scenario? No, limitless money, but like millions or like $10. But most importantly, I've always felt cared for by Scott, where I can come into our one-on-ones and say anything, and he's going to say, let's pray. Like, how are you? How's your soul? How's your relationship with Jesus? Which has been awesome and such a gift to not just me, but my entire family.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said this to people probably behind your back, maybe to your face. I'm not sure I've ever worked with a leader who has a deeper personal integrity in pursuing Jesus ever than you.
Wow.
And I mean, like I say that, I watched what I walked into and watched how you had led in the transition. You maybe didn't know this, but Scott was head of staff when I got here. And so every problem I walked into, he was carrying the day before and really carrying with me the day I got here. And then from the like pastoral care of our staff and congregation to like the denominational stuff. I mean, we went to something, it was like a month in, and we're at a denominational gathering, and Scott is, if you don't know this for our denomination, Scott is pretty much Superman. I mean, he's got the stature for it already, but he's a legend within the Eco National Gathering, and it's like a homecoming, like everybody knows him, whatever. So we go through the whole normal thing. It's all brand new to me. And the next day I had like a eco with training wheels for somebody that's new, because I was. And Scott's like, all right, let's go to this thing. We had fajitas or something the night before. He stuck around. And we go to this thing. I didn't realize till we got there, Scott doesn't need to be here. Like, Scott is staying in this entire session just to be with me, just to support me. And there are so many different ways that it's not like I'm doing this out of duty, just like serving people well, that I'm guessing for every one of those I know about, there's 1,000 of them that I don't. And that has served the people of Menlo more than they'll ever know, man. It's incredible.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Well, those are fun moments for me too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you think of, like, maybe for you, what are some of the moments that when you think about your time at Menlo over the course of the last 18 years, the ones that sort of just pop to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. It's hard. I thought about this
Other
a little
than
bit.
our one-on-ones.
Other
Those have
than
been your favorite
meeting with
times.
Josh
Yeah.
and the deep conversations we've had, but I think a lot about people and just the wonderful, beautiful ways that people lead differently and are different, and that I learn from, and so there's a lot of that. But when I think about ministry, I mean, there's just fun moments, challenging moments. I think of launching, the Mountain View campus when we didn't know what we were doing, but it was this great adventure with God. And I remember, we had a power issue, and some of you who are longtime Mountain View people will remember, every time they'd had a downbeat on the drums, they'd hit the kick drum, and the whole power would go
my
out.
goodness.
Everything,
Are you serious?
entire thing would go down. And when you're a video venue, you have the sermon in your back pocket, and I had to memorize a sermon, and there was a few times where I had to finish some talks, but yeah, we got that figured out. So there were those kind of crazy moments. I remember our first baptisms, we used a kiddie pool, and I mean, it was not a lot of water in there, and I remember I had to bend down to put people in this kiddie pool, and my back hurt after that, and those fun moments. I really loved, early in the day. Sorry, this old guy talking about grammar. But we had this great relationship with Castro School, which is was at that time a lower performing school in the Mountain View district, and we would go over and do a literacy fair. And I remember just having a ball with the kids there, and they have a pretty large Hispanic population in that area, and so the Stanford mariachi band would come over and play, and we just built such a wonderful relationship with that school. And I remember one of their core meetings, they were listing all the community assets that they had, and Menlo Church was like number 3 on the list. Wow. And I thought, man, we are making a difference in this community, and it just, those kinds of things will touch my heart. I remember when I was leading in Saratoga, we had a guy, so many people who found Jesus or saw their marriage healed or just experienced kind of renewal. There was a guy who kind of grew up in some different faith traditions and things, but he experienced mostly guilt and shame in his faith walk with Christ. And I remember we just explained the gospel to him and talked about the grace of Jesus. Just wants to be with you. He loves you. He knows you. He made you, and all you have to do is say yes to him. And he's crying and he's angry with me. He's going, how could I not have known this? Like, I've spent so many years, trapped in this. And I just remember him shaking me. And I just think of people like that we get to tell that message to, of hope. And, those moments, big and small, walking through people who have, who are now in glory, and seeing their heart and love for Jesus. And so unforgettable moments, there's too many to count, but those are a few.
Dude, that's so good. Well, if people were around this weekend, they heard a little bit about kind of what's next for you, but if somebody didn't hear, maybe just, or is this just retirement for you and Rachel? You guys just getting in a motorhome, traveling around the country? Are you taking a lead pastor position down the street? Like, what's next for Scott Palmbush?
Yeah, one of the things that, in terms of kind of who I am and how I'm built, I think of myself often as a pastor. Josh mentioned that. That's really meaningful to me that comes out. But also kind of as a coach. I like to teach. I like to help encourage and inspire people to do their best in whatever they're doing. And those modes have really, like I said, I do them wherever I am. But to focus more in that area is something that I love to do. And I love to work with leaders. I love to see the light go on. I love to see people kind of understand more about who they are. I think for leaders, the best gift they can give is sort of this self-knowledge and understanding of who they are. And so a lot of what I'm going to be doing, I mentioned this, I started a little company with a friend of mine who's also a pastor who kind of does some of this, and we call it Mirador Leaders. And the idea of Mirador is it's a balcony, and it's a place where I can kind of step back and take a look at my own life, my own heart, how I'm doing, and as I step back and take a look, I can I can hear what God might be saying to me. I can make adjustments. I can become who I'm supposed to be. And so that's the heart of it. And to spend more time doing some of those things and getting to do it more broadly too. I mean, you mentioned my work with our denomination and other churches, and I just have always had a big heart for the larger church. And so getting to step into some of those roles and places where I can have some impact and influence just feels like what I'm meant to do right now in this season of my life. To let, guys like Josh with the energy and drive and passion step into some other roles. So that's kind of the heart of it. And it's not a traditional pastoral role as such, but I'd probably be working with churches in different kinds of ways. So it's an adventure with God, kind of like I came here 18 years ago to do. And I kind of have that same sort of butterfly feeling in my stomach.
Well, and I think, when Scott and I had this conversation first, I could tell that it was like, hey, what do you think? This is maybe what I think God's calling me to do, but I'm not sure. And it was just like, oh, that's 1,000,000% what God's calling you to do. Like, that's exactly who you are. And I think for you to be able to, at a season in your life where you're trying to figure out what's the right pace for me, what does it look like in our life and ministry to be who God's called me to do, to be who God's called me to be, to do what God's called me to do at the right scale and the right pace. And I just think it's pretty unique to be able to slow down your pace and to expand your scope and scale at the same time. And I think this is going to be able to do that. And like, if, we're having conversations, Scott and I are having conversations about what does this look like for Scott to be able to coach up some of our staff in the future? What does this look like even as a part of our Hope for Everyone initiative when we think about churches in the communities that we really know are sort of deserts of the kingdom of heaven in terms of like good gospel churches where he could even be as a part of the heartbeat of what Menlo's doing, somebody that could go in and do some consulting work for those churches and help them think about like, let's wake up again to what it would look like to serve the community around us. So, it was such a easy, like, oh yeah, 100% you should be doing this. And figuring out how we get there has been a fun conversation, man. I appreciate you trusting me with it.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
Thanks for your affirmation in it.
Of course. So, we talked about kind of next generation of leaders. Josh, you are stepping into kind of a unique role that we'll talk about in a minute. But if somebody doesn't know you, you're Saratoga campus pastor, have been here for a number of years. Maybe just give them a quick intro of Josh Robertson.
Yeah. This is my first day. I saw a sign on the corner that you guys were looking for a podcaster.
Perfect. Yep.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. The quick version would be moved to the Bay Area 2005 to go to Bible school, met my wife here, started full-time ministry 2008, and we were at a single-site church in the Bay Area for a couple of years, which then merged with a multi-site church that we were at for 8 years. And at the end, the last 2 years, kind of at our 8-year, at that church, the leadership team and the elders approached my wife and I asking if we would consider planting a church out of them to be their next multi-site campus. And for some really, really good reasons, it wasn't the right time to do that. But the leadership team called my wife and I into their office and said, you can stay here. We love you two. We love what you're doing. We would love to keep you here, but we also feel like God is calling you to what's next. And what was next was down the street was a San Jose campus for Menlo Church, which was in the neighborhood that we lived in and where we had been doing ministry now for 10 years. So got connected with the lead pastor at the time of Menlo Church, came on to the San Jose campus. And the thing that was really appealing to my wife and I about it is we had been through church merges on both sides, as the church losing kind of your location and then the church absorbing someone. So as I met with Scott at Chick-fil-A to learn a little bit more about the San Jose campus, we fell in love with Menlo Church. And I think we resonated a lot with what the congregation at San Jose was feeling, being emerged from two churches before. And I think the tension my wife and I felt is we knew that we were ready for something that was next, but we loved the community that we were in. So we knew that there was something next for me in kind of leadership, but we wanted to stay in our community, and we felt this weird tension. So then we heard about Menlo San Jose and went through the interview process. It just seemed like God opened the door really clearly. So we came to the San Jose campus. We were there for 8 Sundays, and then this small thing called the pandemic happened. So then we got to lead this church that we didn't even know for a year and a half through a screen, which was super fun. And then, 2 years ago, we merged the San Jose and Saratoga campus, which I'd say similar to Scott, where he's had different mile markers in his journey of saying, God, what do you have for me next? Like, what are you calling me to? My wife, Elise, and I had to sit back to say, this is in a different neighborhood. This is a different opportunity. It's going to be another church merge. Like, the Lord, are you calling us to do this? And we got really, really excited about it the more and more we prayed. And my daughter, before we even attended Menlo, was at the preschool at the Saratoga campus at the time. So we knew it really well. And we just felt really excited about it. So now we've been here 5.5 years, been at the San Jose and the Saratoga campus. Scott's been my boss the entire time, and we've added a couple kids in that time, and I forget their names, but I got a couple of them. And now we're here, and we love it.
Sadie and Maggie.
Oh, yeah.
Those are your kids' names.
That's right.
I got you.
Isn't there a third? No, there's 2.
I was like, if there is, you've been keeping them from me. But yeah. So, I mean, obviously, the way that this role has been kind of built out, when I got here, we kind of restructured our leadership team a little bit. And part of what we did was Scott has been in the executive pastor of campus's seat, but we knew that that part of his role was only part of his role. So as he is stepping out, some of what he did on staff, he can probably do off of staff. Some of what he did on staff, I'm taking on, or someone else on our central team is taking on. And then the part of his role where he oversees and collaborates with campus pastors, he was so uniquely able to do because he knows every one of the congregations. He, there's nobody that was going to show up to that job with a greater level of sort of gifting to be able to lead the conversation with campus pastors that would trust him with that work. And I think we were looking at that going, well, what does it look like if that's the only part of the job? Could someone like Josh, who is a campus pastor, also oversee campuses? So what we're doing is Josh is simultaneously going to continue as the campus pastor of Saratoga and oversee the other campus pastors. So if somebody right now is going like, wait a second, that sounds like 2 full-time jobs, help them understand either why you think it is and somehow you can handle it, or why you think, here's the way that this dovetails together. Yeah,
I think kind of bringing it back to the beginning of our conversation is a lot of Scott's current role is because he's so good at a lot of different things. His job description is a lot of different categories. And so for me, as a Saratoga campus pastor, I'm taking 1 to 2 of those categories and not Scott's whole job description. Mm-hmm. So I'll be really helping oversee the development and partnering with our campus pastors while thinking holistically about kind of the health of our campuses. But then everything else that Scott was really good at, these other boxes, I can't do and I shouldn't be doing. So I think we've really narrowed the scope of Josh focus on campus pastors, focus on campuses, and then some of the other things of Scott's job are going to be picked up by some other people on our team, or we're just not going to do them, which we'll discover later down the road, I think.
Yeah, that's good. What do you feel like right now as you think about stepping into this role? Your focus has been collaborative with peers for campus pastors, but like as you think about this where you're championing all the campuses, what about that for you is most exciting right now?
Yeah, I think the first is the thing that I'm most excited about is our campus pastors are amazing. Like, except for me, the other 3 are awesome. Yeah. So just to partner with them and get to know them in this new role through a different lens, they are so good at what they do. And they all are so uniquely gifted. So to leverage those strengths and those gifts, I'm really excited about. I think also one of the things that I've really enjoyed, even just in this short time that Scott has been kind of my coach of this transition, is learning the history of all of our campuses from Scott. Like, it's been really exciting to go, why do we do this at this campus? And Scott goes, well, actually, I was in the meeting when we made this decision. And just to learn, like, it's awesome. But I think the thing that I'm really excited about, kind of getting in the weeds, is to look at every campus and to say, how does each of them scream Menlo Church while also celebrating the unique ministry opportunities that they have? Like what San Mateo can do and accomplish is different than what Saratoga can do and accomplish because the neighborhoods are so different, the communities are so different, the needs are so different. So I'm excited to partner with an amazing campus pastor team to say, what does it look like to be a Menlo campus, and then to leverage the resources you have to best serve your community. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I think, what we talk about a lot is that the reason we do multi-site is because when multi-site works well, it offers the excellence of a large church and the intimacy of a small church. And usually you have to pick one of those. And so to be able to look across the bow and go, all right, so where is that happening? Where are the pain points? That's why we do this together. But, it's got some messiness to it. So maybe double click on that for us, Josh. What are some things that you think about like a year from now or even a couple years from now that if you were to look back and go, here's some fun wins we got to experience at campuses or overall progress that you'd be really grateful to see?
Yeah, I would say one was just an example we saw recently at one of our campuses with baptisms. I was at a campus where we had 5 baptisms in that service, and we had an adult, we had a high schooler, we had a middle schooler, we had a kid, and we had a college student. And so I think to just see more and more of those avenues where our ministry and our services are multi-generational. We're celebrating the best of all of those. So I think in 1 year, 5 years, we're seeing more and more of each generation investing into the other generations. And I also think, like bringing it back to what Scott said at Mountain View, they highly invested into this school, and as a result, they became a beacon of light to that school where they went, we know who to call. Number 3 on our list is Menlo Church. I would love for all of our campuses to continue to have that reputation down the road of whether it's, hey, we have a need or we need a resource or who do we call? I want it to be Menlo Church. So I think to continue to develop that reputation and that relationship with nearby schools, local government, and just the opportunities around us to have that reputation would be a huge win in X amount of years.
Yeah, that's great. Scott, I'm going to ask you a question that I didn't prepare you for. So I want to prepare you for a question that I didn't prepare you for. Just
Okay.
Frame there.
I'm intrigued.
There's lots of stuff that we've navigated, especially in the last handful of years, with change around Menlo. But having been here it blows me away the amount of experience that you have at Menlo. What are some things that you go, hey, here are some characteristics of Menlo that were true in the 80s when I got here, have been true for the 18 years that I've been here, and I pray are true for decades to come? What is like maybe 1 or 2 things that you go, this is true of Menlo. I know change is a necessary part of life, but here are some things I hope don't change.
Yeah, I mean, another question is around another way to say that is what makes Menlo Menlo? What is special about this place? And there are, so many ways to say this, and it's embodied in the congregation, the kind of people we have here. But I'd say there's, I think I'd start with saying, there's a commitment to holding the Bible up as this authoritative book in our lives, that it's God breathed, and that's going to be the center. It's where we're going to go for truth, and that's not something that every church is holding on to these days. So to me, that's fundamental. I think to have a heart for people to know Jesus. As long as I've been here, there's been this outward desire for people to come. Let's welcome more people in. Let's send people out. Let's make sure that we are proclaiming the good news. Like that is core. I think there's a warmth and a grace here. There is a sense where you can come, whatever state you're in, and join this, band of people who are trying our best to follow Jesus. The late Walt Gerber, one of our senior pastors, would call us a hospital for sinners. We don't have it all together, but we are welcome to. We're glad to welcome one more person in. I think that's a big piece, and I think just there's a thoughtfulness here too. We're not afraid of questions. We're not afraid to wrestle with with things. We're not afraid of nuance. We're at a place where, yeah, let's wrestle that down. Let's figure out what God's doing here. Let's take those questions seriously. I love that. And I think the last thing, and this deals with some of the changes, that we're a place where people can come and grow and leave and go do whatever God has called them to do. And that's leaders and congregation. There's a transientness in the Bay Area, where people come for a bit and they leave, but they can come and be blessed here, maybe trained here, maybe find Jesus here, and then go out in the world. And I hope and pray that Menlo, those things, and I have great confidence that they will.
Yeah, that's good.
Because the kind of people that are drawn here, the kind of leaders that we're continuing to bring, hold those values.
That's good. Yeah, I thought about it's not a dandelion. It's like the other one that when you blow on it, all the little things fly away, all the little seeds or whatever. And I think that Menlo has been that. Like there's not a conference that I go to or a place that I travel. I don't even know. And people will find out that I'm at Menlo and they're like, oh, let me tell you about this person who was there and then did this and then this happened and then that happened. And the sort of kingdom generosity that Menlo has demonstrated all around the world for, at this point, a century and a half is pretty remarkable, man. It's amazing. With that in mind, Scott, maybe and maybe it's related to that, if you had a chance to just encapsulate one charge, one encouragement, Menlo, don't forget, continue to be about, what would be the parting words you'd hope somebody that you get to kind of cash in your trust chips with in this season would hear you from?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope, one of the phrases around here has always been, we're a Jesus church, and we don't mean that to be non-Trinitarian. We learned about that in our recent series, but to say that Jesus is the core of who we are and what we're about. And I would just say, like I said, staff are going to come and go. Challenges are going to come in and out of your life. But Jesus, he called you, he loves you, he knows you. He has grace for you. He wants you to be the person that you're made to be. And so to me, it's, follow Jesus, rest in his presence and his love, listen to what he's saying to you, do what he calls you to do. That's what I hope our church continues to be about in any season, and live in the gratitude of all that you've been given. So, yeah, that's
a great word.
Some
man.
parting words. Yeah,
it's really good. And Josh, I'd maybe turn the question to you. As you think about people at Menlo right now that are going, okay, it's kind of a new season. You have somebody in Scott who has been navigating so many of these things for so long. Somebody's going, hey, what does it look like for me to get involved in this season? What are you thinking about, praying for, hoping in, and kind of what's next for the average congregant or campus at Menlo?
Yeah, I think in one phrase, it's jump in. I think we have so many people who are looking for people to partner with them, not just on our campuses, but also in our community. And we were having a conversation recently about how many kids signed up for kids camp this summer, and how the one barrier we have is we need more people who are willing to invest into those kids so we can get more kids signed up. So I think my encouragement would be the mission of the church is ongoing. This is a time to be sad and to process Scott transitioning. He's awesome, and he's impacted all of our campuses and all of our lives, and the mission continues. And so we need you to jump in. No matter what campus you serve at, there is a role for you, and there are people looking for adults and students to join a team and invest into their lives. So I would say now is a great time to jump into what God is doing at Menlo Church.
And it just makes me think. I'll take one more word since
you can have all the words.
I mean, for years and years, this is another just to jump off on that topic, but I always want to encourage people to get off the sideline and get in the game. God, the church, God does not have a bench or a sideline. We'd say, everybody gets to play. Everybody gets to play, and that's where the life is. That's where the joy is. That's where you'll find God, when you step out and take a risk and get in the game, and there's lots of ways to get in the game, but don't wait another day. Don't have another excuse. Get in the game. Fun story. We were talking in our staff newsletter recently about Mountain View, the MSM, the middle school program. It's run by a couple high school guys. One of them is Sam Galley, and the fun fact is his mom, Diantha, was one of my high school students when I was doing high school ministry here. Wow. And to see Diantha, I hope you're watching this, but to watch her life and the legacy of her wonderful family, she and Jerome and their kids, and then to see their kids now leading students, that kind of legacy of people getting in the game is really powerful. So love that.
Yeah, and I think, one of our former elders, he would say, like, ministry is the family business. And that's not like if you're, vocationally a pastor. That's like if you're a follower of Jesus, ministry is the family business.
Yep.
And if a moment like this, I would just as gently but firmly as I can communicate this, if you are not involved beyond spectating at Menlo, if you are primarily a consumer, and Scott has been this amazing guy that you loved hearing preach and love seeing him around, and Lord willing, he's going to come back and preach for us. But if that's your primary way that you're interacting with this, I would say, man, you can process change when you understand the nature that ministry is the family business way better than when ministry and church are just one more consumer product, right? Mm-hmm. If it's like, hey, I watched this show called Menlo Church and another cast member just left, and I really liked the original cast, like the original cast that I started with is my favorite cast. I get it. But this is not a television show. You are not a consumer. You're part of the family. And so I think change is a part of it too. Scott isn't ours. One of the things I say on our team all the time is that we are all interim pastors, right? This side of eternity, Menlo is not my church. It's not our church. It's the Lord's church. And so we want to be faithful for the season that we have. Even 18 years for Scott, which is incredible, is within the landscape of 150, And so it just puts it into perspective to say, we're all here trying to be faithful with what God's given us and when he's given it to us. And you're here on purpose. We are not the same as if you would lean in and say yes to serving where God's calling you to serve at Menlo. And if you need help with that, your campus pastor, if you're somebody that checks us out online, Mark and the team would love to help you process what it might look like for you to get in the game, to say yes. And at Menlo, we are in a very unique season where, we have more people that are sort of walking through front doors and going, how do I get connected? Which is great, but it's going to take you. It's going to take us to say it's not just about what I get, it's about what I get to give in this place. And so, Scott, man, after 18 years and decades in this place, man, thanks for everything you've given.
I'm so grateful. Yeah, it's amazing.
What do you feel like, you think about the legacy of Scott's leadership in your life? What's like something that you go, I'm a better leader. Here's something for me that I'll carry different because of Scott's relationship in my life?
Oh, man, that's a big question. I would say the one thing that Scott's really impacted on me that I catch myself mentally saying is this phrase of like, be unhurried right now.
Yeah.
And so we'll have conversations where I'll get buzzes on my Apple Watch and it's like, hey, you have this thing in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And Scott is just focused on me and eye contact. And I know he's way more important than I am. And he has way more meetings than he has to be at. But I think just the way that Scott carries himself in an unhurried way makes me feel seen, valued, and loved. And so I'll catch myself in meetings or in conversations where I go, these things are important. Be unhurried with this person right now.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't say like, what would Scott do? Like, I don't have a bracelet that says that or something, but I'm
Thank
like,
goodness.
but
amazing.
not yet.
Let's make those bracelets.
Oh boy.
But I just like the pastoral and the shepherd presence of Scott being unhurried and me feeling like I'm the most important thing in the world in those moments. I want to grow in that. And I've learned and seen it modeled by him.
That's so good. Yeah, honestly, it was, for me, I had the phrase slow down in my head, right? Like, this is probably not going to come as a wild surprise to a lot of people, but Scott and I complement each other well in this, where, the kind of pace of decision or process for me, and then not just like how he thinks about process, but how you approach people is a huge gift. I'm a better leader because of it. And, I think navigating the last 2.5 years, there are just times where there are definitely moments where I'm not necessarily using that exact phrase, but it's like a what would Scott do moment. He's like the mascot of Unhurried Friend here at Menlo. And I'm like, I need to slow down. There's something underneath this thing with this person. The way they're showing up is not about the thing. It's about the thing underneath the thing. And I think I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of ministry, man, because of you. So I really appreciate that. I think it's one thing to know the behavior to do in that moment. It's a different thing to see it like modeled by someone who deeply loves Jesus, really cares about you, and models that well, man.
So kind, you guys.
I really appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
We should have probably told him this sooner and not wait
Yeah,
till
he's like, actually,
I've been meaning to tell you something for 6 years, Scott. Really appreciate it.
That's good. That's really good. And do we have the Flatbush thing somewhere around the office still?
Oh, yeah.
There's a giant cardboard cutout of Scott that we call Scott Flatbush that just appears randomly, but I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, they must.
It's
who knows?
in the facilities office.
Okay. Well,
with a Menlo jacket on it.
it would have been amazing to have that in the background of this podcast.
Mark, can you add that in there somehow?
Yeah, we'll
Photoshop that in.
Yep.
How many nicknames have you had at Menlo? I'm just curious. Flatbush, Palmboozle, Scott.
Well, Flatbush is there's a football story there too, but that's Flat Stanley. It's kind of my persona, which is funny because I'm wearing a shirt that I've probably had for 10 years, and I wear it sometimes in front of the flat thing. It's the same.
Same shirt.
Same shirt.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Yeah. Do you want to tell anybody that football story before we wrap up?
Well, I guess
you don't have to.
It's the end of the podcast. People are falling
can
asleep
do
at this
whatever
point.
No way, they're not. They're finishing mowing their lawn or washing their car. This is the people that are still with us. They love this. This is bonus content. They're here for this.
Bonus content.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is a football story. Old school football. So I was an eager young freshman on the football team, and we were doing kickoff returns. And if you're not a football person, basically you kick the ball to the other team, and they kind of make a little bit of a wall. The linemen do, and the guy catches the ball and tries to run up the side of the football field and score a touchdown if he can. And you're trying to tackle him. So I was on the team that was kicking off, and we were trying to tackle. And I was chasing the ball, going after the guy with the ball, and I turned and I thought, man, I've got him. And what I didn't see was who at this time was an NFL first round draft pick who was on our team at the time.
What's his name?
His name was Lester Archambault. He's a great guy. And I didn't see him, but that's the problem. I didn't see him. And he ear-holed me, which is in your helmet, there's a hole in your, and I didn't see him, and he just hit me, and my legs went out from underneath me. I did a full flip and landed flat on my back. This is right in front of our coach at the time, Jack Elway.
And if you don't know this, Scott is not a small human.
No, Lester's a big guy, and so I went from about ready to tackle the guy, I could see him, to on my back right in front of our coach, Jack Elway, who just he had this he laughed, and he just looks at me and he goes, "We should call you Flatbush," and that was, and then of course nobody on the team thought that was funny, so that was, I was deemed Flatbush for quite some time after that. So there was, humility is a good quality in life and ministry, and that's one of my many
Glad you got a dose of it.
humbling stories.
That's really good.
So there you go. Bonus content.
Well, thanks for subjecting yourself to this conversation. I hope if you've been watching this or listening to this, it's put a little bit more context and nuance to this. We really like doing these because it's just hard. It's hard to capture this like in a normal service context, and it doesn't make sense to everybody. And so having this and allowing us to do this is a huge gift. I really appreciate that. As I mentioned, this summer you'll hear from your campus pastor about the weekend that we'll have kind of the tour of Scott, and when he'll be at your campus, and we'll have some fun ways to honor him. And then before he goes, we're trying to set it up that actually we'll be able to pray and commission him to what God's calling him to next. And so, transitions are hard. We experience them as loss. There's no way around that. But as difficult as any transition is, this is as good as a transition can possibly be, Menlo.
Yeah.
And your investment in Scott and the Palmbush family for decades has brought so much fruit into this community and will continue to do it in the season ahead. So thanks, man. Thanks for leading well. Thanks for loving people well. And I'm just confident for what God's going to do next.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's been a great thing. So grateful for you guys and for my time here, and will always be a huge part of my life. So thanks.
It's great. Well, before we go, I'm going to pray for Scott. If you're listening to this and doing something else, maybe just stop and pray with me for just a second, and let's thank God together. God, thanks so much. Thanks for the gift of brothers and sisters that we get to walk in life with, that we get to share in ministry with, and just every now and then, God, I feel like we get to experience saints who are so incredibly selfless, so unbelievably gifted, and just at the exact moment for such a time as this. And that time for Scott and Menlo has been so fruitful and will have impact that ripples for generations. Leaders decades from now are going to look at the marks of leadership that he has brought to this place and be grateful, even if they don't know his name. And I know because of his character, that's just fine with him. And so, God, would you bless him? Would you give favor in front of him to the work you're calling him to do next? Thank you for his boldness and willingness to hear from you and to respond in obedience, to be able to take a step into the unknown. I pray for conversations and doorways and opportunities to open up, that the pace he's longing to walk in this next season and the impact he's longing to have would just open up in front of him in supernatural ways. God, thank you so much. Thanks for the integrity you've sustained him with. I pray for the one day, someday, that he's going to stand before you in glory and you're going to say, well done, good and faithful servant. And it wouldn't just be because the best days are behind him, but because of what you still have in front of him. And we pray for Josh and pray for his family as he steps into this unique role of kind of player coach, continuing to pastor Saratoga and overseeing campuses. Would you give him tremendous capacity, help people to be able to know and see his heart, to be able to see more people come to know and grow in you, that Menlo will be a better place because of the moves that you're calling us to make. God, help us to walk in faithfulness of what it means to be men and women who love you, who long for others to as well. Thanks for the legacy of leaders in this place. Might we be links in the chain by your grace for the ones that are next. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks so much, Menlo. Amen. See you next time.